Greetings and welcome to a Monday edition of the Shotgun Start. It is August 18th. PJ, how we doing?
Brendan, it's Victory Monday again. Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
All right. I think people are going to be less in the know about this one than the last one.
How could
Cameron
you?
Young.
How could you? How could you be? Dick Green is a winner on the Champions Tour.
You're wearing your Champs Tour Minute shirt.
Wearing my Champs Tour Minute. There he is.
Your homemade Champs Tour Minute shirt. Love it. Love it.
Big week for T-shirts. Big week for wins. Big month for wins. It's Victory Monday.
Very happy for you. You're joining us here late on Sunday. Andy got delayed. Someone asked me if he was lost at sea. I said today. I said, I don't think he's at sea proper. He was at a lake for the last week on vacation, a deserved vacation. Tonight he was supposed to be on, but we have some flight delays. We may get him to call in towards the end. He was watching on the plane. I know, the BMW, I believe. I don't think he was watching the, what was the Champs Tour event? It was Calgary, as I kept calling it.
Calgary, the Rogers Charity Classic. I can tell you that he wasn't watching it because it's still not on television as of 9 p.m.
That's right.
Eastern time. You could watch it on the app, but I don't think Andy was doing that. But sorry if I spoiled it for anybody.
All right. Yeah. We're going to post this before 1 a.m. Eastern. We may have spoiled the Champions Tour result for you, the 5 people looking for that. We will talk about the BMW Championship, where Scottie Scheffler won his 5th time this year. That includes, of course, 2 major championships. Now includes a FedEx Cup playoffs event. I don't know which one he'll hold in higher regard or prominence, but he is the best player in the world by a lot, not breaking any news there. He dominated today. I know, Bobby Mack went to bed talking about the size of dogs and fights and things like that. And I didn't expect him to necessarily sort of turtle up from the moment. I still expected Scottie Scheffler to win. Look, Bobby Mack had an insane putting run on Thursday afternoon after the rain delay, putted really well on Friday. You start to kind of, I think even Kisner talked about this late on the broadcast, things start to level out. It wasn't like you weren't going to maintain that pace. He jumped out to these crazy margins based off that Thursday finish, and it was up 7, up 6, and kind of was coasting off that. He gained strokes yesterday, lost just a smidge today, and just regressed back. It obviously opened the door. And I think even before it was, good on him for the finish Saturday night with the fist pump and all that stuff on 18. Another bomb he can there. But, when Scotty's in the rearview mirror, it's a different kind of deal. What are you shaking your head about?
I agree. I pulled up the good old fashioned odds board last night at the conclusion of play because I was just curious whether Scotty would be favored 4 down. He was not for some reason, still plus money. And I was genuinely stunned. And, Bob has become maybe the most gracious loser. I assume we'll get to 17, but everybody on the broadcast was giving him props for, clapping and the scoring at Oakmont for JJ Spawn and sitting there with the smile on his face watching Scotty just rip this one away for him. So Bob's getting props for everybody for being a very gracious loser this year.
Good for Bob. But I realized it was gone though. I mean, it was gone after the first hole, 2-shot swing. We're down to 2. We're down to 1 after he bogeys the second. Scotty gives him one back at the third. They're even at the 5th, and he's ahead at the 7th, and that was it. Now he did the fight and the size of the fight and all that stuff stayed with him, but he started with the 4-shot lead, and he was 2 down for a lot of for much of the backside. He got it to 1 on 17 tee when we got this. A lot of people were suggesting Scotty hasn't had a lot of signature moments, so to speak, and this was one of them. It was an amazing sort of, and that amphitheater is super cool down there. I was out there yesterday and then again today. That 17th sort of amphitheater, like big par 3 down the hill, and then 18's right there. There's a big crowd that can kind of see down into that valley. Really cool scene, and it was loud. And he chips in, and it's a signature moment. We'll just note, also happened, very cool moment of tension and drama when the ball was on the ground. Like, that's generally what we advocate for around here. Not necessarily the ball on the ground, but, the 375-yard drive that no one can see. And, results in some speed numbers being posted on the screen that we're supposed to ooh and ah at. Rarely provide like the most, exciting moments of tension. It was a ball that was on the ground tracking. Tough Sunday for the chaplain. I mean, maybe not its service, but, we get Chaplin on. He doesn't chase down, what was then Fleetwood
Strokes
or
game
Rose.
Chaplin. Strokes game Chaplin is looking pretty good right now. It's looking. It's they made a big deal about that on the broadcast too. First win without Ted Scott. Obviously, this is a professional caddy who has been
Cromie,
Michael on the PGA Tour.
Yes.
For a while. But if you're the chaplain, I mean, I hope it was a good Sunday. I feel like every Sunday is probably a good Sunday for a chaplain, but looking kind of funny in the light here.
I mean, I don't know what to say. It was I'm going to have some people I know very mad at me that I'm bringing the chaplain back in the crosshairs.
Would the chaplain have gotten the Rolex that they gave to Comrie after winning today?
Cromie.
Yeah.
Cromie.
Sorry. Switching up my letters.
They gave him a Rolex because they just love the caddies. I guess there were
I don't know.
Some level of discomfort about them continuing to announce the caddies on the first tee and announce them at the 18th hole walk up. I don't think the caddies love that glory, but this goes to, I guess the prominence of the Evans Scholar Foundation and the Western Golf Association, elevating caddies in a certain way. But I didn't see you got a Rolex. Nice for Cromie.
Got a Rolex out of it and a nice check. So congrats. Good week off.
So he's winning like over 40% of his events over the last, I don't know, whatever sample size you want to say, 30 some events. He's been in the top 10 every single time since the Masters. He's obviously won multiple majors. It continues to approach the best golf we've seen since Tiger. I don't think it was just the shot on 17. He wasn't even his best today. We saw a little bit of like the Scottie putting issues. I'll say it. He missed a couple shorties that let Bob kind of hang around. 14 being one, and then he hits that outstanding, outrageous 8-iron out of a bunker on 15. So it wasn't like his absolute peak, but still, he kind of kept him at arm's length for the entire back nine after starting the day 4 back. It's as good a golf as we've seen since Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I mean, he got the opening that he did not take advantage of yesterday when Bob bogeyed one and he only made par, but had the opening again and was not going to miss it for a second time. And when you're even for a player as good as Bob MacIntyre, and he's had a great year, auto qualified for the Ryder Cup team after today now, up until the 8th in the world, I think. But that's a tough spot to be in when your lead shrinks by half and you're playing with Scottie in the same group immediately, literally in 15 minutes.
It was insanely hot and humid. For me, it was just like basic August in Maryland stuff. But this is it's a big, crazy walk. I mean, there's reasons they put everybody in carts and shuttle them up to the clubhouse from 18 and 9's way below. And there aren't a lot of fans up by the clubhouse because it's such a walk up there. I thought his quote to Cara, like on the 18th green right after, is just sort of indicative of how he's separated himself. Obviously, there are the golf shots, which this week was a little different. I think his driving was like far and away the best. It's a big ballpark, just a lot of lawn par 4s, lawn par 3s. Par 5s that some guys were struggling to get to the fairway when they had the tee way back on 16. And he was, I think, in the top 2 or 3 in distance and among the tops in accuracy. And I think he led the field in strokes gained off the tee, which, he's always going to be pretty solid there. But again, sometimes he throttles down. Like he's been known to, take, like even for a week like Bay Hill, I think he made an equipment change, try to throttle down. This was a little bit of a different one where, he made up a ton of ground with that chip in, but a lot of it was like power off the tee, where he really stepped on the gas and separated himself off the tee. But there are the golf shots. And then I think like what has made him so different for the last few years, when you talk to Kara, I think it has to do with the intensity that I bring to each round. I try to take no days off. I try not to take any shots off. When it gets this time of year, it can be a little bit tiring. Today was a grind. I think it just has a lot to do with the intensity we bring to each round and each shot. And I think a lot of guys would say that. You're just like, that's just cliche bullshit. But I don't think Scottie says stuff anymore that he doesn't mean. And I take that with like a lot of emphasis and weight, that nowadays, like the money is all there. Like everybody's kind of taking a wash and a money bath these next couple of weeks as it is. That like I don't think that is as motivating to him. It's like this, and you saw him get pissy about having to talk about the Ryder Cup. Like, this is the thing in front of me. This is a championship in front of me. I'm gonna win it. And like a lot of guys maybe are taking their foot off the gas because it's August, it's hot, it's humid. If they're not going to make 3 million, they're going to make whatever, mid six figures because they're 25th. Difference between 25th and 20th maybe doesn't. With him, like I think it's just literally every shot he wants. He brings an intensity that nobody else is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he never, and maybe this is easy to say because I don't remember the last time he had a bad round, but it never seems like he shows up and is just out of it. Even if he's not winning the tournament, which, as you said, he's winning 40% of his starts. Like, it's hard to see him not in a tournament, but he always brings it. Like, and is always just around, and the casual 66, 67 is always around the corner, where that makes the 64s, 63s stand out so much more because the baseline that he set is so high. Like you said, I don't think he played especially well today necessarily, and it was a 67, and it was what he needed to win.
He made $8 million for the Comcast Business Tour Top 10. He made $10 million for the FedEx Cup at the Wyndham. So this was the change. So he made $18 million Wyndham week. They do this separate cutoff for the BMW Championship, where they're doling out about 22 some million dollars to the top 30 for those who get to Atlanta to begin with. And then I think there's a separate, obviously, like Atlanta pot that they pay out after that. So he made $5 million today. Rory made $3.5 million today because he stayed. He didn't play Memphis. Was kind of middle of the pack, middle of the field today. Stays 2 the whole way through and makes 3.5 today. He won the Players, won Pebble, won the Masters. Probably fair, but just no one touches him. With him essentially playing, he played one event to finish.
It's
midfield.
So good. It's so good. It's just hilarious. Like all the think pieces. Oh, we have to figure out how to do this. We have to figure out how to make sure guys play. And the guy shows up and just kind of mails it in. Doesn't even play one of it.
I don't want to say
nothing changes.
I don't know if he mailed it in. I think he was trying. I don't think he's playing well. I don't think he's like hitting the fairway very much. I think he wasn't super thrilled, but he made $10 million after Wyndham for his season work, and that's FedEx Cup work and the Comcast Business Tour Top 10, which somehow still exists on top of the season-long bonus pool for the FedEx Cup. There's 2 pools. Same thing. So he made $10 million there. He made 3.5 today. And then, we've got, so Scottie though, Scottie's at 23 million so far, with next week still to come. Bonus.
Well, I mean, Scottie's made $23 million in bonuses, but he's had to win 5 times to get there. You could make $18 million in bonuses and not win at all, as we learned today.
We're going to talk about LIV here in a little bit. The people just bending themselves in pretzels to argue for LIV's season long. Oh, this is legitimate. This is the best. Like, he's for sure had the best season after Yako won 5 times. Look, guys, like, if you end up in a position where you have to always say everything LIV is doing is good and great, then you've kind of walked down the wrong alleyway. Because, and if we suggest that any of this might be sort of absurd or unserious, we're somehow like PGA Tour, lobbyists. Look, we've made fun of the PGA Tour's postseason and points races and season races for as long as they've existed. But part of the deal is you got to be critical when stuff is preposterous. And these people bending themselves in pretzels to suggest Rahm had a better season than the 5 wins of Niemann is what I find most amusing about what's happening on LIV. Now, on the LIV point, I walked around the last 2 days. This event, I'm not trying to be a prisoner of the moment or recency bias here. Like, I think has just about the perfect. This is about the perfect stage for like a real showcase at the PGA Tour. Now, they can't do it every week. I think 50 is an incredible number that allows you to be flexible. The pace of play is awesome, although some guys we're going to get the pace of play in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
There's some drama, Bobby and Scottie on Saturday. Like 50 is such a good number if you're trying to do some sort of showcase for the PGA Tour. Some sort of, this is a bigger event. This is an elevated privilege to be at. All that. A great event. Great theater. It starts at 9, but not 7 a.m. and it goes to 6, and the pace is fabulous. But I had someone from the tour ask me like this week, what in terms of like on the priority list, what should reunification be for Roll-Up? Like how high up when he comes in? I like had to think about it. I was like, I don't know that like the house is on fire there, or he needs to do that. Right away, work on the rights deal and figure out how to quote unquote deploy the capital, the SSG money. There's stuff to do. I didn't think it was a big deal. When they get to these like 50-person showcases, I think it would be pretty hugely beneficial to have Jon Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau there. And this is not to put an asterisk on Scottie Scheffler's dominance, his win. He beat their ass in the PGA and at the Open when they were in those fields. He probably would have been the best player. He is the best player in the world by far right now. Probably would have been the best player in this field and won either way if there was commingled. And this is coming from someone who doesn't think like, we got to get things reunified. But, they could use a few more of the big names and stars. And I think it's a little harder to win as much if Rahm is with you every week or Bryson is with you every week. This is not delegitimizing anything. That's the last thing I want to do. I just walked around my kids yesterday. That's part of it. They're like, who do you want to see? We want to see Rory, want to see Scottie. After that, they threw out like you. It was like, is PJ going to be there? Fleetwood, they have a fascination with Fleetwood that I'm not sure where that came from, the hair, the name. But like
the YouTube.
And Rory's kind of, he was out of it. The YouTube was out of it. Wasn't like a prime contender, but there's still so many people following him on Saturday. I just think like the tour for these kind of showcase events, especially when there's only 50 guys, not to state the obvious, but Scottie could, for Scottie's own sake, he could use a few more of these guys more often, right? If Rory's not playing well,
it's literally it's Tommy Fleetwood or like JJ Spawn.
I don't know. I had someone suggesting that to me today, and I wasn't fully buying it, but. It is like maybe an SEC schedule one year where you might miss. You got a great hard schedule, and by the end of the season, you're the best team. There's no dispute about it. But you didn't have to play LSU, or you missed a road game against whoever. Am I being over? Am I? Look, LIV is totally unserious, too. Like today we had, Jon Rahm's having to beat back Sebastian Muñoz while shooting 60, and he doesn't. Like both outcomes aren't ideal. And the tour is cruising, and it's great. And I thought this was an awesome event And I thought it felt like perfect to me in terms of a stage and size for something that's different than the regular season. Really did. But am I zagging too much here?
I don't mind the college football schedule analogy. I kind of like that. But at the same time, like, I don't like Bryson. Honestly, I feel better about being, honestly, maybe even a better player now than he was at the time when he left. I don't know if I would say necessarily the same thing for Rahm, because when we've seen everybody together outside of the PGA for literally like 5 holes, I don't know if I don't know if he is the name. Certainly, if it's Jon Rahm versus the 48th guy in this field, you're getting more name value and you're getting obviously better playing value. But is it the same Jon Rahm that left 3 years ago?
No, he's not been as good as he was when he and Scottie were really kind of exchanging blows there in that 22-23 stretch. I don't think it just felt like they needed a few more studs in a field of this size in a showcase event like that. And it's separate and apart from whatever Scottie's doing and legitimacy of all that. I don't know. Felt like it was a little stark at times.
But it's only just those two guys that would make the difference.
Totally.
Right? Like,
totally. And they don't, like, independently. I think what we've seen in golf is that in the last few years, like, there is no Tiger character. Like, those guys aren't making LIV go anywhere necessarily. And I'm not saying they would make the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour is doing just fine in terms of ratings and success and all these things. But just from a competitive standpoint, it would be nice to have them around a little bit more, a few more kind of pillars. And it just felt a little bit stark. I loved it. I thought it was like a perfect event, but that jumped out to me a little bit the last couple.
That's interesting. I guess I never really thought about it in kind of the smaller field event. How if Scottie's going to be up there, and then if Rory doesn't play well, that next tier might have 6 or 8 guys in it, but none of them at the stature of a Rahm or a Bryson for sure. I mean, literally, 45-year-old Justin Rose is in that next tier. Like that's like a real that he's in that next tier.
And it's harder to win than ever. I think it's harder to win than ever on tour. It's harder than when Tiger was there, I think. And Tiger was just so far and away on a different planet than the wheat from the chaff when he was playing. It is as deeper than ever, even without, some of those superstars that left. But in terms of like a showcase, it felt like they could have used him. And if like Rory's not going to play well, then you're kind of counting on, Ludwig to have an all-timer week or Bobby Mack to have this, putting sort of dynamo for 4 straight days, and Scottie to not have his best stuff or to have his C game. And it's incredibly deep. It's just something that dawned on me or was emphasized. I don't think that means like the tour needs them back or they're going to fail tomorrow or next year, but I don't know, it stuck out a little bit.
No, I don't think so. And I mean, you're probably making an even better point that could be made for this upcoming week. Now with 30 guys, if Scottie only has his C game, like what, then you're really in just dire straits here.
We're going to talk about worst case scenarios for the tour. I think for sure. I watched the Bridge Man today a little bit. I wouldn't say he's quick, the Bridge Man, but he has a chance to post the low 72 hole medal score and win the FedEx Cup next week. He's 27. So yeah, I don't know if Jon Rahm and Bryson are in the field. Is the Bridge Man in Atlanta? I don't know. Doesn't seem like it. Maybe he's 27.
Well, he's 27. So yeah,
sure. Whatever. Akshay and Goddard up, I guess, are knocking him out. But yeah, it's a great field next week. Anyways, you're always going to have a few guys who make it to Atlanta that are like,
I really do like the college football the college football analogy. I think that's good. Is that, you didn't have to play Georgia on the road this year. Maybe you'll see him in the championship game at a major at some point, but you didn't have to. You got the division split was pretty good, beneficial on your behalf.
No, I don't. Yeah, and I'm not even suggesting it's like a cupcake thing at all. This is going longer than I thought, but it's just like you didn't get everybody in the SEC.
Yeah,
and you're not being crowned. You're not winning via poll or anything like that. Scotty's the best, far and away, showing it every time. Just feels like we could have used a few more stars. I don't think that means reunification is the top priority. It's coming around the pike. Top priority for you should be to go to bedrati.com, use the promo code SGS30, get 30% off. It was hot and humid out there the last 2 days. I was in a Bedrati cool. I believe Kasner is the polo I have on. The fabric literally has cooling properties in it. I opened an email. I opened all their emails. I check all their emails. I'm a consumer, not just a promoter or marketer here. I like open all the emails they sent. I was reading about the fabric the other day. Like it literally has a cooling effect. And they have a whole bevy of options now in their cool. You still got several more weeks of hot August and early September to combat. You can go to bedrati.com. Promo code is SGS30. They got the Captain Cool in a new color in white Biscayne. They got the Cool Wesley, Cool Slater, Cool Wilson, and the Cool Duke, which is a solid if you're not into patterns or stripes. So they have multiple different styles. I cannot, honestly, no BS, as I usually say. I talked to Billy about this fabric when we played together on Long Island in June. He said they worked on this for years to find this. It is substantially different than anything I own or have seen out there. The cool fabric, and it's great.
He said you're leaving cool on the table if you're not wearing. You're actively making Strokes yourself gained. Hotter.
Strokes gained cool.
Strokes gained cool.
Go to bedrati.com. Promo code is SGS30. They have been our great partners really since day one here, and will continue to do so. So thanks to them for their support this week. Runner up is Bob MacIntyre, Robert MacIntyre. Were you more disappointed, impressed? Where do you fall on the Bobby Mack scale after this? I think last week with Tommy Fleetwood, we're like, woof, ouch, that's a bad blown lead, brother. How about with Bobby Mack? Not quite to that level.
No, not quite to that level for me. I mean, I think it's a different beast playing with Scottie, getting hunted down by Scottie. I mean, he's had a great year. I think you were laughing at me around the Open when I said he keeps on sniffing around, and I think he's going to get one at some point here. But he. Ironically enough, they pointed this out today on the broadcast, and obviously it's true, but I never thought of it. He's never won in the United States. He won Canada and the Scottish Open. I know.
I heard that. He's not won in America. I have no time for these
I kind of thought
bullshit.
That was hilarious.
I thought it was funny too, but in a way that was ridiculous. As they're proposing that this is a thing that is this a monkey on its back? What were they trying to insinuate from that?
I don't know, but I liked it. I like that this is something we can kind of run with
win.
Now.
Not a win because it wasn't America?
Can we get him to Mexico? What are the odds we can get him to Vedanta World next year?
Who was it that only was winning at resorts? It might have been, I can't remember. There was
Hovland.
Yeah, I think it was Hovland. He was only winning at resorts out of the country.
He was only because he won Mayakoba twice in Puerto Rico. It was
yes. Yeah, oh, you can't win. That's so stupid. I will say,
Bobby
the other
Mack
thing though,
just taking the baton.
We're Bobby Mack's a fighter. He wasn't going anywhere, and we've seen him today. He really impressed us and showed up, fought until the end. I was like, he started a 4-shot lead. What? What? What was this broadcast was making him out to be this great warrior that he did indeed hang around, but he started with the 4-shot lead. What?
He didn't. You don't have to hang around when you start with the 4-shot lead. You are the one that is around. You're not hanging at that point. You're just around. You're supposed to be there. It wasn't. I mean, I guess, are you giving him props for like not melting down completely? I guess you shouldn't, but like
not shooting
okay.
80. He shot 73.
Yeah.
He shot 73. He was 3 over. I don't know.
He wasn't good. Yeah.
God, they said that at like he cut it to 1 at 16, and I think that's something. I was like, really? Like, are we throwing him these like, oh my God, this kid won't go away when he started 4 up? I don't know. It just felt like overinflating that storyline. He was a really good week for him. Maybe not the fastest. Kurt Byram was calling him methodical on the greens on number 1 today. Methodical seems to be the euphemism for you're too slow. I do enjoy that. It's like kind of a kind word. They were put on the clock on 11 yesterday. Scottie seemed to take umbrage with this when the official pulled up to him, and then when he was asked about it Saturday night, I think by Paul Hodwanek for the PGA Tour. Great guy. I got to talk to him quite a bit this week. He said, it's frustrating. I didn't really feel like I did anything to put us behind on time. Bob and I got warned on 9. I felt like we did some pretty good stuff on 9, 10, 11, and we somehow didn't gain a single second on pace of play. I'm not really sure how that's possible. This reporter quipped, well, you got Ludwig ahead of you because Ludwig's known as being very fast. Just a joke. So, but they got put on the clock as well today. So I don't know how quick he was today. It's just one of those things where all of a sudden now I'm punished for a rules decision I did not totally agree with. Well, okay. Yeah, well, you don't have to. Punishment happens regardless of whether you agree with the rule or not. And then I can feel it gusting on 12. I can feel it gusting on 13. There's nothing I can do about it. You got to get up there and hit the shot. Overall, I did what I could do to keep us on pace. And hopefully we don't run into that situation tomorrow. Again, that was Saturday night. So they're both on the clock. I don't want to say he's necessarily pointing the finger at Bobby, who was called methodical this morning. I've never thought of Bob being like slow. He never jumped out to me that way. He is a little slower, I guess, in reading the putts and making the putts. But they were on the clock, and it was a long waiting for them because that was the last thing my kids wanted to see. And I felt like we were never going to get out of the heat and the sun and get my kids home because they were like a hole and a half, 2 holes behind, a hole and a half behind on Saturday.
That's it. That's all there is to say. It's interesting.
It is
interesting. A lot of eyes there. A lot of taking it upon himself. What did I do? What is my take on the situation? How do I like the rules enforced? Very heavy hand from the chief of police, I would say.
When he said, I didn't really feel like I did anything to put us behind on time. My inference from that is that Bobby was the problem.
Yes,
maybe that's wrong.
Obviously.
Am I over?
No, that's exactly how I would read it. And then pace of play was even more of a subplot because Sky had their own little graphics.
Plus 3 minutes behind where you're supposed to be. I watched those guys just happen to be going by when the official pulled up to Shane Lowry on 8. It was 8T, walking up 8. He didn't take it well. It didn't go well when they were getting warned. Cantlay was way ahead of Lowry. And that was when they put the graphic up, right? It was like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing that on American television yet, are they? Was that on NBC?
No.
I didn't.
No.
It's kind of incredible. They should do it. Put it up there. They got bubble tracker and all these other things, but get the time par. They were 3 minutes past at 7. They were, I think, got up to like 11 minutes or so by the time they got to the back 9. What a graphic. Big ups to Sky for that. One other Scottie Scheffler from Bob note. Bob obviously had a little bit of back and forth with the fans Saturday night. They were telling him you pushed it. He shushed them and fist pumped at them. I wouldn't say the fans that I saw, there were some that weren't real warm to the Scotsman. There were some comments made about his sunscreen and just a few jeers here and there that I heard up close. So Scottie was asked about that. And it's Ryder Cup season. The jingoism starts. There were a lot of USA chants and stuff. They were when Scottie chipped in.
So many USA chants on 17.
Every time Keegan did. Yeah. So that's starting to kick in. And the crowd's in the lather giving Bobby just it could have been one idiot. Like, people are idiots. Like, when this person, like, why are you making fun of, like, why are you antagonizing this guy as he walks from a green to a tee? Like, why? Like, is that entertaining to you to talk about how he doesn't have enough sunscreen on or too much sun? Like, I don't understand that mindset, but it exists everywhere. Scottie was asked about this interaction with the fans today. Maybe what you heard out there. He said, "I didn't see any of that. I played with Bob when we were in Scotland. I heard some fairly choice words when I was leading the tournament in Ireland." Oh, so Scottie turning the cannons around. Now he's calling out the Euros, calling out the Portrush crowds. I think it's part of it. People have a tendency to say things that are dumb. Agree with that. Great take. This podcast, guilty as any. Tendency to say things that are dumb. I can think of a few things that were said to me in the final round in Ireland that were very far over the line. If you're a fan, it's only going to fire up the guy more. And I think just do your best to behave out there. It can be a little bit silly sometimes. I love this from Scottie. I love this. I think he's telling Bob to suck it up. He's not telling him. He's telling everybody. All of us are Bobs necessarily if we're being jeered or heckled in our life. Not specifically to Bob, but kind of a good take. I love this. And rarely, we hear the Euros just carp and moan and whine about the American treatment, and we have to hear about Brookline, ad infinitum forever. And, the Euros do some nonsense. I remember when Tiger got heckled in his backswing at Carnoustie as he was trying to win the Open. It happens over there. And Harman talked about it at Liverpool, how he was getting a lot of treatment. I just think it's interesting. Scottie putting it out there. He was very far over the line in Ireland. Interesting. Just, I guess, Europeans got to get their crowds under control.
It's what I like. Don't ask him about the Ryder Cup. But if he wants to stoke the flames a little bit and set the tone early here, he'll do it. He'll get in there. I like it. I like that out of him. I said that we need some more leadership on the American side from the number one player in the world. He's decided to step up and kind of take accountability. I'm afraid this might be open season on Bobby in a couple weeks here, but I hope not.
Oh, this is what I'm worried about. I mean, he's got rabbit ears, always has. Like, the drone in Canada was driving him nuts, and that said, I had a lot of empathy for some of the comments I heard. I was like, just shut up. Like, guys, stop. I wouldn't say it was really bad or anything. It was just people say dumb stuff, and they were getting by. When you're with the number one player in the world who's an American, they're just, and sports fans look for an adversarial, antagonistic bent that can happen. So, but congrats to Bob. He's fighting. He's a dog. He's fighting. I don't know what size of dog he is, but he's fighting, and he's on to Eastlake. Any other takeaways from BMW? We should talk about Ben Griffin overdosing. I thought the course. I enjoyed the course. I thought it was fine for what it was. I don't think, someone suggested to me like they can't come back here because it's like, I don't know, too remote, it's too hot, too hilly. They put a lot of more contour into the greens, which guys seem to be borderline complaining about, like too much slope in the greens. The rain on Thursday really softened things up, and Bobby obviously went nuts, and it looked like we were getting a winning score that's in 20 under again. The Summerlin model mostly worked. It got firmer.
Yeah.
I don't think the tour held back too much. Like, this was not, I wouldn't say they maxed it out, but, they had to move some tees up. The pins, there were some players not super thrilled with some of the pins, especially at 11 and 17 today, which is already a long par 3. They essentially put it like in the middle of the water, the pin way over on the right there. Guys weren't super thrilled with that. So I wouldn't say it was like kid glove treatment from the PGA Tour. I thought it was fine. Got firmer, good pins. They pushed the envelope a little bit with setup. And look, it's never going to be probably the most entertaining course for pros or mind activating course for pros, but it's August and it's a major American market, and it worked out okay, I thought.
It seemed like the online sentiment today is that it pro Caves Valley, I would say. Watching along with the broadcast, I feel like people were into it. Outside of that, Harry Hall sticking around, big H as he called himself, just trying to break in, desperately trying to break into the Lads Club, sticking around. Rasmus can't get it done overseas, just trying to stick his foot in the door, just keep it open as long as possible.
Makes it to Eastlake. He's the only one who got in.
Was on bubble watch all day. I don't know.
Lucas Glover out, Harry Hall in. That's the only movement for this week in terms of 30 cutoff. Interesting. It was one more thing on Baltimore, and I thought the crowds were tempered. I didn't think it was that crazy. I know I might be holding it to a 2021 standard when we had been in a pandemic.
Say,
you got Cantlay and Bryson and all this stuff. Yeah, but it was tempered. It was just hot and humid. I didn't think they were that crazy, but it was a good setting. You think Harry Hall's going to be on the team? He says he hasn't been fit for anything, and no one's talked to him.
No, I don't think he's going to be on the team. I don't. Clearly not.
He's out of the Lads
Which
Club.
I don't understand. But okay, sure. I mean, I do understand it, but I don't understand not even talking to the guy. That's what I don't understand.
He just kind of. I wouldn't say he fits Bethpage real well. He's not a big hitter, a bopper.
No,
he just putts well.
No.
I watched his putting routine a couple times this week.
But if you're comparing him to either Højgaard, it's like they all have the same resume-ish. Harry Hall has been way better than either of them recently. Can you give the guy a phone call? That's the part I think is the Lads Club, is that I just don't understand how he hasn't even been talked to.
I think they're probably surprised. They're like, oh, wait, this guy who's played opposite field events is now in FedEx and Eastlake. It's rare to make it to Eastlake and not make the team. And they had a lot of guys who, Fitzy didn't make it to Eastlake. They had guys who didn't even get in the playoffs, that are going to be, it sounds like, up for spots in the Højgaard twins. And now you got a guy that's in the top 30 in the PGA Tour. Doesn't seem like he's in line. But big ups to H for battling his way onto the right side of the cut line.
H. You got to throw the British.
That's what he's calling himself. H.
That's what he said his teammates. I think in high school maybe or in college called him. He told the story about wanting to put a Ryder Cup bag back at his local course, and everybody calls him H. So I'm going with that from now on.
Okay. Elsewhere, we have Ricky. Admirable fight from Ricky. I was super into Ricky. I almost he was, tussling with the line with the top 30. Everybody's he makes this disastrous late double, but he's he's going to get it. He's going to make it. And then he just airmails one and makes a late double bogey. Falls to, I think he landed at 33. He needed some crazy shit to happen down the stretch. He landed at 32. Michael Kim, first man out at 31. Penge was 33. Had my kids ask who that was a few times when he approached Penge. Akshay, last man in, falls from 29 to 30, but gets in. Goddard is 29. Sanjay, 28, just plays a billion times a year, never wins, and gets to Atlanta. Kind of insane.
I was gonna say, Sanjay for me, making it to Eastlake is he has not hit the ball well at all in any event at all this year, and he's in the top 30, so congrats on that. I mean, that's honestly incredible.
Ben Griffin safely in, despite his overdose today on the course. They gave him some Narcan or whatever they did, got him back to life, did some chest compressions.
He rallied.
He was incredible. He started with triple. He 4-putted from 3 feet, essentially, 4 feet. Then hits one out of bounds, makes a 6, a double. I think he was 5 over through 2, gets back to under par. An incredible round for Ben Griffin, but Paul had this quote from him. Said he overdosed. He did air quotes, to be fair to Ben Griffin. He did have some amusing air quotes around it. I guess it was his last scoop of creatine, so it sort of congealed and was a a snowball, I believe he called it. And he swallowed a big chunk, and he said he was shaking. Now, you got all these meat sticks jumping into Paul's mention, suggesting, well, this doesn't happen with creatine. He's making this up. He was just nervous. I was like, I don't think he's nervous about just playing. He's trying to finish. He wasn't really in the hunt. He wasn't nervous about whether he's going to finish 8th or 10th or whatever it is. Clearly something physiological happened, whether it's shakes or whatever, but an incredible story. What was your reaction to Ben Griffin's overdose?
Calling it an overdose, I think, is my favorite part of the whole thing. Is that, this has been a story the whole year. After he unveiled he was taking creatine, he's been one of the best players in the world, and it has unlocked his game. I asked him about it at Travelers. He was like, "Why aren't you taking creatine? Everybody should take creatine. It makes everybody better and everything."
He talked to you about it at Travelers? He was talking to you about creatine? Okay.
I specifically asked him. I was like, "Is there any connection, like straight up, to you publicly revealing you were doing this in Florida?" I think, was it? I think it was Cognizant, and he finished like 4th, and then he just went on a tear from there. And I was like, "Is this like a 1-to-1 correlation?" And he was like, "I don't know if it's 1-to-1, but I think everybody should take it. I think it's like, it's good for everybody. Everybody should get involved. I don't know if I need any, extraneous supplements in my life, but I'm happy it's working for him." I'm happy that there's a reason to explain 6 over through 3, but he actually gained spots on the leaderboard today, which is very impressive to battle back on after that kind of start.
Yeah, I think he's safely for sure on the team. I mean, he birdied
I hope so.
4 of the last 6 holes, shot 31 coming in, shot under par for the round after going triple, double, bogey to start. Went out in 38, even despite that, finished with 3 birdies. I think it's 7 birdies in his last 12 holes or something like that to get on the right side. He's definitely on the team, right? The top 6 have been locked now. We have Harris, Russell Henley, and who's the guy joining JJ, Xander, Scottie. Who is our 6th?
Bryson.
Who am I missing? Bryson officially is in, despite
held on by the skin of his teeth. Literally by the skin of his teeth.
Sounds like maybe, JT's going to be there. I had heard Keegan went and talked to JT. I'm not, just speculating. Maybe that was about Ryder Cup. Who knows what they're talking about at this point, but he's going to be on. The top 6, though, are for sure on. It feels like Griffin did a lot to solidify himself. They're just going to have to figure out the whole creatine dosing and scheduling. Came too late. What a story. What a story.
I mean, hopefully he's got a new batch ready to go, so he's not in his last scoop. Can we plan that out a little bit better? Make sure we have a fresh batch by the end of September ready to go here.
Anything else from BMW that jumped out? Amusements struck your fancy? I think people want a lot of golf course talk. It's a big, big, big ballpark, and I thought it was much better this year with how they set it up. And the rains, softened things on Thursday. It's fine. It's just was really hot and humid this go around. Always is going to be in August. On the DP World Tour, another exclusion from the Lads Club. Marco Penge, as I call him, won in the Danish Open or the Danish Golf Championship. Rasmus finishes 1 back, runner up. So, maybe they take the LIV point of view and the runner-up is worth more than the win here. And, Rasmus is on the team. I don't know if this locks it up for him. But Penge and Harry Hall seem to be outside of the Lads Club. Kind of disgraceful what's happening in the European side, right? With this total insiders backroom politicking and play not mattering.
And you're getting called out on it now. I sent it this morning. Adrian Sadier tweeting in support of Marco, saying it's unbelievable. Guy's 2nd in the race to Dubai. This is a European Tour, DP World Tour owned property. He's literally, this would be like if Rory was playing on Team PGA Tour, 2nd in the FedEx Cup, and he was literally nowhere near the conversation. And that's where they're at on the DP World Tour side of things. So congrats to Marco. I'm just happy that the calls from outside of the house are beginning to get called. People are seeing what's going on here. Marco Højgaard's probably on the team.
You saying your last name needs to be Højgaard these days to get a spot in the Lads Club?
Or you got to be from Denmark. Something's got to happen. I don't know.
I like that. I think we're just going to have to keep this drum beat going louder, talking about the breakdown and process, the degradation.
I never thought I'd see the day that the Danes were boxing out the Englishmen. Danes are boxing out the Englishmen for Ryder Cup Europe, but here we are.
Stir the pot. Love it. One person who is going to be on the Ryder Cup Europe team is Jon Rahm. He wins the season-long race. He did not win LIV Indianapolis, but he wins the season-long individual championship for LIV. He's there. He's dousing himself in milk as they do with the Indy 500. He's drinking warm milk
with a GoPro attached. I haven't seen the GoPro angle at least yet. But there is a GoPro attached to the bottom of the milk.
Went ham. He shot 60 with 2 bogeys, was it? He had at least one bogey.
It was at least one.
60.
Yeah.
Sebastian Muñoz shot 59 with a double, I believe, on Friday in the first round. Bassi beats Rahm to win the individual LIV Indianapolis tournament. But Jon Rahm wins the overall season individual title, despite not winning the entire year, including today. Knowing what we know about Jon Rahm, knowing what he said about I think it was the Open, or it's listen, the top 10 thing, or maybe it was the US Open. It's can you guys stop with that? I know it's I realize it's not the same as if I were playing it. My top 10 streak would not exist if it were on the PGA Tour because the fields are deeper and bigger. And does Rahm feel good about this as he's pouring milk all over himself?
I would bet probably not. I feel like probably not. I would be surprised if he was. I mean, I'm sure the $18 million doesn't hurt at the end of the day. But no, I feel like he probably wants to win and would want to win majors more than anything else.
Clearly, there's an issue with how they calculate their points. Data Golf was saying they don't seem to value winning as much relative to other systems. That the percentage and weight for a second or third is higher than you might get in other systems. I just think it's amusing how people are bending themselves into a pretzel saying, no, this is fine. This is good. The guy who did not win versus the guy who won 5 times should be the season-long champion. When we're not talking about a 50-event schedule here. It was 13 events, and the guy won 5.
Yeah.
And it just seems counterintuitive. Is that crazy to say? And if you can't be critical of that, then I think you're just in too deep with LIV.
No, I think it has to be the point they're trying to make is you don't get points towards your standing unless you come in, I think it's the top half, so the top 24, and Niemann had 1 or 2 starts where he was outside of the top 24. So he got nothing for those 2 starts, but Rahm coming in the top 10 every week was just banking large amount of points, disproportionate amount of points, and only won by, I think it was 3 and change. So the 2 zeros from Niemann were really the difference, but he won 5 times out of 13. If Rahm
That's
won
what I don't
today,
get. People winning's nice. Yeah, go ahead.
If Rahm won today, I get how he could win this season, because that's not going to be any different than if the Bridgeman wins next week. He's going to win the season long, and he has
and we'll
that's
laugh.
The same thing. Oh, it'll be
but
great,
he has to
and we'll
win.
Criticize it. Yes,
but he has to win it next week.
People are saying there's 10 guys in the top 30 that haven't won this year. It's okay, great. But if they win this week, which Jon Rahm has not done, they will win. You still have to cross that threshold that LIV never got to this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's we're talking about, we're saying, well, he was bad when he didn't win. It's like, but as Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game, and he won 5 of them, and Jon Rahm won 0. And that's the end of the story. And it doesn't matter if he was last, I would say. And he's like, oh, he's inconsistent. When he was bad, he was bad. He was finished top 10 today, by the way. He finished top 10.
Yeah,
Like, the percentages just don't seem to line up. But, at the end of the day, like, there's no easy system like this for golf. And we've been critical of the FedEx Cup for how they award, season-long success versus 3 weeks, 4 week success. Like, it's just a tricky formula. This one seems particularly egregious in terms of the outcome.
Well, I mean, they seem like they're changing up a bunch of stuff this offseason. They were hammering the relegation point home today that there's no way back for Henrik Stenson, Freddie Ketchup. You're out. You got to earn your way back, or you got to go play the Asian Tour next year. So if we're changing up a bunch, I assume this will get looked at, or maybe not, because maybe they just want Jon Rahm to be the face of the league, because that's what the money is for anyway.
I don't like the one the guy on Twitter, he said winning is good, but if you do nothing else, like, what are we just like casting? Winning's good. We're just casting that aside. Oh, never mind. Winning's good,
that's the goal. Like, that is the end goal. That's the point of all of this.
The relegation was just the magic stick party. The relegation bubble was just, they were, I don't know if, doing Lord of the Flies situation amongst the Majesticks, because it was Westy was in there. Then it became Poulter and Stenson for the final safe and final out spot. Henrik is out. Your relegated players are Henrik Stenson, Andy Ogletree, Mito Pereira, Euban Jane, Anthony Kim, and Freddie Ketchup, who is just a disaster. Made no points this year. Same with Anthony Kim. Nothing. Poulter just edges. He jumps from the relegation zone this week ahead of Stenson and into the 48th spot, into whatever it's the open zone. Tough scene for Henrik, I would say, most notably. I don't know if any Mito, I guess his fall from grace has been significant, but none of the others necessarily would shock you, I suppose.
No, I'd be interested to see what happens to Euban Jang. Like, that's somebody that had a pretty.
Would you be interested?
I kind of am, like, a little bit. He was at least well thought of going into this thing, and now he's going to get sent back to the Asian Tour. Like, does he ever pop back up again? I don't. I think it's a shame that Westy. I mean, good for Westy, I guess, for staying in the open zone. But I really thought we were going to get Westy on the Legends Tour out there in Europe, and maybe a pathway back to the Champs Tour. I thought that was going to be a big boon. But good for him staying on the Magic Sticks maybe next year. Yeah, tough look for Mito, and I guess, I mean, really even tougher look for Henrik Stenson, because who knows what Ryder Cup Europe looks like currently if Henrik Stenson does not set off this chain of events we found ourselves in currently.
They are. We'll do many Ryder Cup chats, but they are so set up. Just having they're set up to win an away game. Now the play may have to come around, but guys look good this week. I mean, I wouldn't say there were any alarm bells going off for most of them. But in terms of like the captaincy stuff and Luke Don, just like year over year continuity, it seems like with the roster, there's set up as you could possibly be to win on the road, which we'll talk about much more over the next month. Do you see Henrik Stenson playing on the Asian Tour to try to work his way back? Do you think the sticks just give him a contract? We saw with Brandon Grace. Yeah, I don't.
Well, they can't. He
allegedly.
Doesn't. They can't even allegedly give him a contract. So maybe he plays at LIV Q School, because I think you get into LIV Q School and can earn your way back. So maybe he does that. But I don't think he's going to play the Asian Tour. So I'd be interested to see. He's only 45, I think. So he's got some time before he's Champs eligible.
Yeah. Yeah. One more LIV note. Bryson is not going to get an exemption into Napa, into whatever they call it now. The Fries, the Safeway, the Procore. He said it's on them. talking about the PGA Tour. It's on them if they don't let us come together as a team and play. I mean, that seems really, cutting the blame pie into one piece. Seems like kind of a bit too Manichaean, good, bad, dark, evil. This just is assigning way too much blame to one party. It's on them if they don't let us come together as a team and play. That just shows you, I'm not going to say that. Said pausing. It's a scenario that's unfortunate, and I wish it was different. But Liv's willing to let me play. Liv doesn't have an event that week. If they did, he wouldn't be allowed to. It's just kind of this. It's a great Bryson quote. It's what I would expect. It's sort of
it is
self-deluded, absolves him from any role in the scenario and the predicament of being unable to play. I don't know if the others, like Keegan and them, were under the impression they might be able to carve out a 1 week allowance. Do I think he should be able to play? Well, no. I mean, like we live in a society, and there are laws and there's order. And, when you make decisions that have consequences and benefits, those tend to last and linger. And you can't just dismantle the law and order of the state and just say, you can play this 1 week for the benefit of Ryder Cup camaraderie. Nonsense. Send him out there and he can, roast marshmallows for the boys when they get off the course. And that's it. They can camaraderie, kumbaya that way.
Now, I think could you flip this and say the PGA Tour is rooting for Europe because they don't want to let the boys get together in Napa? That's one angle. Now, I think the interesting thing is if Bryson wanted to play somewhere, would he get a DP World Tour exemption into, I believe it's the Irish Open that week? Would he get or would the DP World Tour hold the cards and be like, no, American player, sorry, I don't want you getting some reps in.
Sit on ice. I mean, what is he going to... This Michigan event sounds like sort of a sham. Like it's, a golf course that will be a pitch and putt, and it's a team event. It's like purely team stuff. And it's going to be in August 20th. And then you're off for a month. Is he going to go play the Asian Tour? I mean... Amazing achievement, qualifying on points given the the lack of opportunity. But I don't know, what does he do for the next 5 weeks? No pro core.
You bring the YouTube cameras out to Bethpage and get to work.
It's on them. If they don't want us to come together, that's on them. Any other Ryder Cup movements this week that changed anything for you? Slam and Sammy Burns had a good finish at the PGA at the BMW. Anything demonstrably change your outlook on the Ryder Cup?
I would still. I don't think Keegan is playing well enough. I've said that a lot over the course of the last week. I don't know how many times I can reiterate this. I would take Sam Burns over Keegan. I have no expectation that's actually going to happen. So that's where I'm at.
It seems like Cantlay and JT and Griffin are in.
Another great piece of evidence for Team 1000 this week, by the way.
I don't disagree. The Morikawa thing is tricky, in my opinion. He probably shouldn't be on the team. He probably will be on the team. That leaves you again with Bradley, Cameron Young, Burns. I would say are your 3 for 2 at this point. Goddard, I think, has probably dropped himself out, but that could change with another good week this week. Am I missing somebody? Is that fair? It's Young and Burns and Keegan, probably 3 for 2 spots.
Yeah, that's where it's probably at right now.
God, it's gonna be dicey, really dicey for Keegan. He's got to have a good week. I don't know. He just take yourself out at this point. I'd almost say like he should announce this week, like I'm out. Like I just am taking myself out of the running. And if he beats, say he finishes 5th next week or 7th, and he beat 22 guys. Like, is that changing this like standing? It'd be a good week. It's impressive. He's had a great year. But like, what is happening in the next week outside of a win? it's a tough spot for him.
Nothing.
I feel bad. If he wasn't captain, I think he'd be just like he'd be like in the Griffin zone. I would think like you're probably.
I don't know about that. I just don't know about that. I mean, he
didn't have captain next to his name.
Ben Griffin has been one of the 7 best players in the world for this entire year.
I'm not saying he had as good a year, but I'd say he's like this soft lock is what I'm saying. Like soft lock. It's just this. He's also the captain.
I think if you look at what has happened and you look at a guy that has not won since June 27th or whatever it was, and the run of form since then, I think it looks, throw in the Sam Burns, Scottie part of it on top of it. If he was just another guy, I have a feeling that suitcase might be staying packed.
No, after last week when he got last go around when he got jobbed and he got cut out of the boys club.
Oh,
I think
you want to talk about people getting
jobbed?
People getting jobbed last time who might get jobbed again. You want to go down that path? We can go down that path. Highest ranked player to never get picked in the Ryder Cup. Good on points. 9th in points. Doesn't even get a phone call. Okay, if we want to take that path, we can go down that path.
I think you're like a New York radio caller right now. I think Cam's on.
That's a bad argument to make. That's a bad argument if you want to talk about jobs last time. That's a bad path to go down.
Keegan did get screwed. He got cut out of the boys club last time. He did get screwed. I think that would have been taken into account this time.
Better than him didn't even get a phone call last time.
I think we go Cam Young Burns to round it out, but we'll see what happens.
I agree, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. And I'm still, Joseph keeps telling me I'm not worried. I'm not worried. I am worried. Yeah. I am worried.
It'll be a mess. On the LPGA, Aki Awai wins. The Awai sisters wins in Portland. Pretty ho-hum event. Setup was kind of blah out there, but a long-running event in Portland. Aki Awai wins that. KFT, Emiliano Gonzalez shoots 61 in Boise on the final round to win on the Kit Corn Ferry Tour out there on the Albertsons Open. On the Champions Tour, Dick Green. Anything we need to know about Dick Green breaking through and why it's such a victory Monday?
Well, I mean, it's 71 starts. Been a great player, stalwart at the top of the leaderboard. Throughout many events, has come close so many times. I think the 6 runner-up finishes. It was starting to get in the Fleetwood zone, but got across the finish line today. Stared down the mechanic in the final group. Tommy Gainey, by the way, got his top 10, so we'll see him in Michigan next week. Tommy Gainey had a chance to win, but kind of faltered today. But stared down the likely player of the year in the final group. Miguel going for his 5th win. Stopped by Dick Green.
How do you have
thrilled.
This many facts?
I was locked in. Peter Jacobsen on the call, which I personally felt was really important. I don't even think Peter Jacobsen remembers the guarantee, but I do.
No,
and it was almost a year to the day, and I'm happy it happened. Congratulations to Richard Green. Well deserved, well earned.
The Jacobsen? I mean, he looked like he was ready to check out when I was watching Late Night Champs Tour on Friday, and he said the scene reminded him of being back home in Oregon. Calgary is like 12 hours minimum from Oregon. Close. He goes, it's just right there across from Montana and Idaho. It's like 6 hours from Montana and Idaho. What is he like straining to say this reminded him of Oregon? Being back home in Oregon. It's so far from there, Calgary. They're just lumping everything up there together. But congrats to Peter. And also, by the way, he was calling it from Ponte Vedra Beach. He wasn't like, it's good to be back, see these scenes of home. Like, no, you're nowhere near Oregon. You're in Ponte Vedra on the lake, on the remote call. So, all right, that does it for the results roundup. Am I missing? Oh, USAM. God, it's been going on as we're recording. Mason Howell, sort of a snoozer of a final, but to Mason Howell's credit, I think he becomes the 3rd youngest amateur winner at Olympic. We're going to do a ton of AM talk on the Fried Egg Pod this week. I locked in sort of all Thursday, Friday. Saturday was earlier. I thought, as often is the case, the round of 32, round of 16, the quarters became much more interesting. Sometimes you get a final that's sort of a clunker, and that's what happens with 36-hole deal. Like he was 5 up, by the time they basically came on TV, and it was just sort of a march to the finish there, and he wins. He's the third youngest. He's obviously, he's going to UGA. He's in the Masters. The story, he beats up on the Tennessee Volunteer. Who's Fridge? What's his name? Harrington. What's his first name? Jackson Harrington. Who seemed like a good kid. But Mason Howell beats him 7-6. Niall Shields Donegan was sort of the sensational story from like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It kept like going all the way to 18 or winning on 19, coming back, had the local support. Brentley doing some great interviews with the rowdy crowds around
Brentley's
him.
in the mosh pit out there. It's great.
It was a quarters and a round of 16 just chock full of story. It was event of the week for a reason. You had Miles Russell and Daly the second, and the long shot Abda was in there from Minnesota. Eric Lee, the Oklahoma State kid, was sort of kept making these miraculous recoveries. It was just a great USAM week from Olympic, and seemed sort of had that spooky, usual, typical Olympic field, fulfilling the Mark Twain quote about summer in San Francisco. But congrats to Mason Howell, total stud. Luke Colton and Miles Russell, and recently Blades Brown. Some of these other younger kids have gotten a lot of accolades, but Howell obviously on like an all-time run this summer with the 63s, in the U.S. qualifying. I think the U.S. Junior, he was played exceptional there. He's just been on a run throughout the summer and dominates. Wins the Havemeyer.
It's been incredible to watch. I think the social content from the USGA has been outstanding. Yeah. They've been all over the place. It's been Olympic has looked great on television. Brentley in the mosh pit brought me immense amounts of joy on multiple occasions getting that. But it was I mean, like the round of 16 in was just loaded, and I feel like only one match was really just a blowout until today from that point. So it was it's been cool to watch.
It's like the opposite of sort of this money bath and hot and humid Baltimore. It's like chilly and gray, and I wouldn't say these guys are walking away with nothing in their pocket based on some of the brands emblazoned all over their clothes, but just match play and the style of it. And today was a clunker in terms of competitiveness, but certainly, Thursday, Friday night was amazing to watch.
Well, and they got burger dogs too, which is what really matters.
I don't need to hear any more about that. I don't need to hear any more about that. Howell officially going to be on the Walker Cup team, locked in. They've got maybe 1-2 spots not up for grabs there. They're fulfill out the mid-am spot. That'll be a great sort of drama or debate as Nathan Smith rounds out that roster. News. I think our schedule's coming out on Tuesday. The PGA Tour schedule, probably from Eastlake. Got a hilarious, unsubstantiated rumor today as it pertains to the schedule. The PGA Tour, this is very unsubstantiated, just a little bit of fun, light fun here in August. PGA Tour hasn't decided if Kapalua will hold the Tournament of Champions because there are water restrictions right now out in Hawaii, and in the foreseeable future, some water restrictions. The course is very brown. It's browned out, brown to look at. I guess aesthetically, it's not this sort of vibrant, verdant green. And when watering the greens by hand, and if you look on their Instagram, it looks a little more browned out, but it would be this ultra firm and fast in the name of sustainability Kapalua. And with
so
the
what
pampered
you're telling me is this would be sick, and we're not going to get it.
But the pampered F Brigade might have, if it's too browned out, they potentially haven't decided. Now that seems to me like they're like, well, you guys got to figure this out. It's August. I fully 100% expect they're going to play at Kapalua. I am pretty much guarantee it's going to be listed as Kapalua on the schedule when we get it this week. I just thought that was a hilarious bit of like, if this were to happen, would be highly entertaining. It does look a little brown, but that looks good. Beautiful. Looks beautiful. Firm and fast.
Who cares? Who cares?
Well,
burn it out, firm and fast. Get the wind going. Minus
got a winner to
30,
get through,
30, 34 under. 34 under turns into 4 under if we're lucky. Go get Zach Johnson out there. Get him on the broadcast on Saturday. They've lost the golf course because we can't water anything. This would be great. This would be incredible content to start the year off. What a boon in January that we're just throwing away.
I thought this was a little like harmless stuff to throw at you. We should get our schedule this week. Capital will be on it, but I love that there's people in Hawaii are talking about this being a thing. Kind of amusing. All right. Anything else that I missed? Any big air balls? Great week. I enjoyed the BMW. I hope people aren't mad at me for suggesting it's illegitimate without having Rahm or Bryson in the field. That's not what I meant. I hope it didn't come across that way. Great week to be out there. My kids loved it, by the way. Like, they were so into it. They hung in there for 5 hours.
Got to follow Mr. 1000. It's a life-changing experience.
They did see him, first person they saw. They wanted to watch a lot of Rory, little Scottie. In the end, what they probably loved the most were the cars. I said, well, you like those, you should see a GLS. They don't get you in a GLS, and they're not present. But they did like going through the different cars that the players had allegedly designed. They posted that like, oh, this is the personal one that Tommy and Shane and Rory had designed. I strange credulity that the boys got in the lab and really cooked up those. We
gotta get them in Bernie's custom GLS from the Masters this year. That's what we gotta get them in. You want to see a player's car, a real player's car? Sit in these leather seats with Bernard Langer's autograph on them. All right, that's what you need.
No, the BMW is a class event. I loved it. The kids loved it. It was just had a little bit of everything. Like, I just go to these and I think everything's stupid. That's not the golf. And when you go with your kids, they're sort of into doing all that stuff. Like, oh, they can't just watch golf the whole time. They watched a ton. They walked most of the whole course. It was hot. But they're like, all right, let's go do the putting contest. Let's go check out this pavilion area. And like, I don't know. Maybe it's overweighting my takeaway from that. But I think like the BMW Championship's about, do we wish the Western Open still existed? Yeah. Could both coexist and figure out a way to do both at some point? Yeah. But it feels like if you're trying to make a playoffs showcase, it feels like just the right size. And in terms of like event operations, like WGA is class. So it was good. It was a great week.
Well, that's what happens when you've been running the BMW Championship since 1899 or whatever. Pay no mind that cars hadn't even been invented yet, but that's fine.
I like that Wikipedia at least listed at 07. The BMW. The tour's history could be trusted more with Wikipedia, where we were told to never ever look at when we were trying to figure out what's true in fact for a citation for a term paper. Now has a stronger record than the tour's own.
Don't worry about when the company of BMW was invented. This has been going since the 19th century. All right, this has been churning golf tournaments forever.
All right, PJ, thank you for sitting in the big chair these last 3 days, last 3 episodes. Andy will be back, I believe, on Wednesday. Tour champ. We're going to hear from Rolap and maybe not. I don't know. I think we're going to hear from Monahan, probably Rolap, I would think, this week. Down to 30. Bonanza, Bridgeman. The Bridgeman could just play spoiler, absolute spoiler, come in, take the pot. Would be incredible.
If Harry Hall wins the Tour Championship, is he on the Ryder Cup team?
Yes.
I think the answer is no, by the way, but I wanted to ask you.
Oh, come on. We're talking about look, the team is locked. They've got 11 guys, right? There's a lot of this sort of year over year stability. You can throw a late Harry Hall grenade in there at the end, just on the end, last seat.
I don't know. They're going to have to make all new hats. I just don't think they want to go through it.
He is a real David Eckstein type slap hitter. Totally.
Oh yeah.
And I'll tell you what, my kids following Rory and Henley yesterday. Look,
oh my God.
like the name of the game is to get the ball in the hole. Like I like there are no pictures on the scorecard, all that BS. The difference in watching those two like drive the ball and get through it with like a slap and then a moonshot was startling even to the kids. And Henley is an elite, phenomenal athlete and golfer and has been since he turned pro at the Sony and won. Incredible. It just looks a little different. And that's not the ultimate arbiter of whether you win or lose, but it was different to watch those guys up close. Henley's got speed, though. I mean, he's having an incredible year. Congrats to him for qualifying. All right, I think that does it for this Monday edition of the Shotgun Start. We'll be back with you on Wednesday.